Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Our current session is about social dialects. I hope and expect by the end of the session you would be able to understand the concept and you would also be able to understand what are the implications of this concept. Well, my dear students, dialect differences are not only geographical. I hope you are aware with the idea of regional dialects. Regional dialects are those dialects that are based on geographical differences. However, geography or region is not the only criteria. There are two main complexities related to this geographical division or these regional idea of regional dialects. The first idea is of geographical mobility. If you say that, well, there is a regional dialect, which means a dialect that is used by the people of a particular region. What does it mean? Does it mean a kind of a fixity? Actually, in real life, it is not so. People from that particular region would keep on moving. They would go out of this region, they would come back to this region. Then there would be people from other regions who would come here and who would stay here, who would even settle here. So, this mobility in terms of that geographical setting is one of the issues. Thus, simply plotting it as the dialectologists have done in their studies of different villages, where they would say, all right, this particular item is spoken by all these people in this particular region, whereas another linguistic item is used to refer to, this particular thing in another region. So this is how these two regions are different in terms of language choices or language use, and thus they are two different isoglosses. But this simple, division does not work because of this process of mobility. Secondly, geography is only one of the relevant factors. There are so many other factors. There are social factors, factors of class, factors of sex, factors of age, factors of education, etc. Dialectologists, therefore, refer to the speak of social dialects or sociolects. Now you need to compare this idea to the regional dialects. Social dialects or sociolects are based on the social class system, the social divisions, not like regional dialects where the division is based on the regions. Now, because of these factors, a speaker may be more similar in language to the people from the same social group in a very different area. So, for example, if you take the example of region A and region B. Now, a person X who is living in region A is living in this particular region, but in terms of social affiliations or social class links, he or she may find himself or herself being more, associated with region B. So, how would you count him or her in this, region A when you are determining it as a regional dialect that is being spoken there? In certain societies where, the social systems are hierarchical and where, there is a certain kind of class system in the society, this idea of sociolect gains further significance, especially when it comes to sociolinguistic studies of language varieties being used there. And in this case, I would give the example of Great Britain. When we look at the UK, actually we would find that social class takes precedence over geography when it comes to determining speech. What I mean by this is that the speech of people is not in the UK largely determined by the geographical area. Rather, it is their social class that determines the variety of language that they would speak. Thus, there is far more geographical variation among people in the lower social class than there is amongst those at the top of the social ladder. What does this all mean? This has gone so far that people, for example, in the Great Britain who have passed public school system examinations, they typically do not have any regional traits at all in their language, whereas the lower class people, the illiterate or the less educated people, who belong to the lower social stratum of the society, they would have, different varieties related to their, social class or, ethnicity, etc. Well, I would like to point out here that this division that we talk about in the Great Britain, this is typical to the UK, and this is not found in other countries. For example, it is not found in United States or in Germany, because in the United States and in Germany, for example, the top social class of people, they would always show their region of origin. They would try to show it through their pronunciation. So, again, this is more like a social distinction that we make, that socially it is more agreeable and it is more acceptable in the case of the USA and Germany, that the upper class people relate themselves to their social class and their origin as well through their language choices. Well, this allows us to distinguish between the standard dialect and non-standard dialects while making separate statements about pronunciation in terms of accents. So, for example, if we think of the Great Britain again, we may say that many people use a regional accent, but they select a select few use we find of NRP, that is the received pronunciation accent, with the same standard dialect. Overall, what I would say is that there is a great confusion that results if the standard dialect, which is a matter of vocabulary, syntax, and morphology, if this is referred to as RP, that is received pronunciation. So overall, the idea of social dialects has a great significance in the studies that are related to sociolinguistics, though again, like other ideas such as regional dialects, it has its own confusions and ambiguities.